Back up. Something must be going on because we're getting a little bit of echo. Some people are having audio issues. We'll see.
I couldn't get through on my computer today.
All right. I don't know what's
Something's going on.
I think Zoom has enough capacity at this point, and I'm not sure what's going on this morning that would cause extra conflict.
Good morning, Colleen, and welcome.
All right. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. I'll do a virtual ringing of the bell and say the Pledge of Allegiance. You can mute, listen to me, or say it along. But keep things going here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see everybody. Let me see. We have another person connecting in. Is John Beauchamp. Okay. All right. I want to welcome our guest this morning. We do one of our favorite things of the year during the school year, and that's honor those educators that are working so hard to educate our children, grandchildren, and youth of the area. So today we are honoring a teacher from Eagleville. We have Principal Colleen Hoyne with us this morning, as well as our honoree, who we'll hear from a little bit later, Allison Boyd, with us. And technical issues are hampering us a bit this morning, but hopefully everything works and we can get through the meeting without too much trouble. So welcome, Colleen and Allison. Great to have you in our virtual meeting this morning as we continue to make our way through this pandemic period. And not a guest, but a fellow Rotarian, our Assistant District Governor, Larry Myers, is with us this morning. Great to see you, Larry. Glad you could tune in with us this morning. All right, let's go to next on the agenda here. And Tom Hurligson, are you still on? And do you have a couple of words of wisdom for us this morning?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Turned off the annoying video.
Okay.
But yeah, my first thought today is from some guy named Sir Klaus Moser. He said, education costs money, but then so does ignorance. Second thought is from Alexander the Great.
Oh.
I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. And my last thought is from Henry Ford. He said, thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason so few engage in it. He was a delightful guy.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Don't specifically have a Rotary Minute, but as part of our business, we'll talk a little bit about Rotary and Rotary affiliated and how we involve with that based on some decision last night at the board meeting. So, but first, although we're not together and with happy finds and a drawing and all that for the time being, I want to open it up. I won't hit you at any fines or anything like that, but anything happy finds or anything like that somebody would like to share? Birthdays, anniversaries, things going on?
I have to admit, I do have a birthday today.
Oh, yes, that's right.
You're admitting?
Oh. All right.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And your son's birthday earlier this week?
Yep, Christopher's was on Monday.
Yeah. Nice.
So
Well, have a happy birthday. Where did you bike in the world this morning?
I was actually in Central Florida. I came in second place at a triathlon in Central Florida today. So ready to go.
Glad you can make it back home for the meeting.
Well, I'd rather stay there.
Nice. All right, great. All right, so we will get to our honoree here in a bit, but let's go over some business and announcements because despite not meeting in person and not having life as normal as we know it, there are still things that we are doing as a club, trying to continue to do good, not only in the community, but also in the world. In this time that we're living in, it is a it's an interesting time in lots of ways, but economically, we're in a situation where those with mid to upper level incomes and retirement or otherwise portfolios are thankfully doing quite well right now. There are those who work in service industries and other areas that are struggling right now, and unemployment is at highs and things like that. So food pantries and hunger task force and all that are really taxed right now. So as a club, typically around Christmas time, we would adopt a family or two and do gifts and gift cards to a particular family or two. It turned out to be a little bit hard this year because of everything that's going on. So one of our great members, Greg, coordinated the donations and support to the food pantries. And Greg, you just want to give an update on where we are with that? You're on mute.
There, now you can hear me.
There you go.
First, I want to say thank you to all the members who donated. It was wonderful this year. Our goal was to collect $400 so that we could buy 25 hams, and along with $20 gift cards, 15 hams to the McQuantico Food Pantry and 10 hams to the kitchen cupboard. Well, $645 was collected. So, the board last night voted to match that amount. So between the 25 hams and the $20 gift cards to go with each ham, we're going to have extra money, and I will be going out today and purchasing gift cards for the two pantries. I'll split the gift cards between the two pantries. I'll be buying approximately $400 more worth of gift cards. I think I'm going to get $40 cards, and I'll probably give 5 cards to McQuantico Food Pantry and 5 cards to the kitchen cupboard for distribution. I'm bringing the hams to the kitchen cupboard today. I've already delivered all the hams to McQuantico Food Pantry. So I've done my weightlifting with a couple of 100 pounds of ham. But thank you all for being so generous.
Well, thank you, Greg, for all the time. And I don't know, it's been brought up before, but because he couldn't just walk into one Aldi's and buy 25 hams at one time, he literally had to go to Aldi's. He and his wife, Linda, 5, 6 times, I don't know, 7 times to buy a couple hams at a time to accumulate them to get to 25. So a lot of effort on your part also, Greg. So thanks for all the work on that. And hopefully it makes a difference in the lives of some in the community who perhaps aren't doing as well as others. And along the lines of food pantry, we as a club and a group of folks have been working on our drive-through beer garden. And Mark Blodgett, has been heading that up, and a lot of progress has been made. And the proceeds from that, coming up just after the holidays, are also earmarked for the food pantries, because I'm sure there's going to be a need going into spring next year. Mark, can you give a brief update on where we stand and the plans in terms of starting to put those up for sale and things like that?
Yeah, sure. The committee's been working very hard in getting this thing rolling, including Ashley Miller at the high school, getting our Square Online promo page and sales pages ready. As Jim mentioned, we're looking to go live with the promo page hopefully sometime next week, and then orders starting on January 4th through the month of January, and that first week in February, we hope to box up all the items that include 2 32-ounce crowlers, they call them, of beer, a couple commemorative 16-ounce pint glasses that say McQuantico drive-through beer garden on them, a couple nice big take and bake pretzels, a jar of mustard, and so yeah, things are rolling right along, and like I said, the sponsor subcommittee has been doing a great job, as well as everybody else. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, working to do a COVID friendly fundraiser during this time. And the good news is, somewhere between $20 and $25 a box will be fundraising, and selling up to 108 of them this time. Although this is certainly something, as we can decide as a club, see how this goes, that we can turn on and do a couple times a year for various reasons. And for $50, you get the beer, pretzels, mustard, and the mugs. So hopefully we have continued success with that. And like I said, the food pantry is our targeted charity for that effort. So more to come on that. So great work with the committee getting that, especially with the sponsorships and such during this time. A couple of quick updates, or one quick update, and then one other thing. I've mentioned this before, but it's been made official here in the past week or so that our long-awaited John McGivern show, which we had 700 and something tickets sold for, and we missed by about a week in March 14th this past spring, that was postponed now multiple times, has been rescheduled, hopefully for the last time, Saturday, September 18th. We're hoping that life is more back to normal at that point. Still, we as a club still have more than 600 tickets outstanding for that show that people hold. We've had several refund requests in the past several days, but still over 600 tickets. Hopefully, the dream would be by July, we're comfortable enough to sell the remaining seats, put those up for sale, advertise, fill the house up as much as possible, and hopefully have one show. If we have to have two shows, we can potentially have one in the afternoon and the evening, remaining flexible on that. So John McGivern has agreed to that, but it's 10 months away, and hopefully we'll flex and see what goes on with that. But hopefully soon after the next school year starts, we'll have a great show on that Saturday. So last night also at the board meeting, we discussed, we as a club, and of course Rotary overall, has a relationship with Shelterbox International. And just real quick, Shelterbox is an affiliated organization to Rotary, and they provide disaster relief in the form of shelter and supplies all over the world when disaster strikes. And although we as a nation and the world have been focused on COVID and such, if you heard in the news back in early November, there were two major hurricanes that hit Central America, Honduras and Guatemala, and caused a lot of destruction. So Shelterbox is expending a lot of materials, a lot of supplies there. So a call has gone out to clubs throughout Rotary to provide support. And we have in the past several years or decade, donated to Shelterbox so they could replenish their kits and shelters. So last night we as a board approved the donation of $1,000 to Shelterbox for the hurricane disaster relief, and Shelterbox overall for that. So again, while we remain focused on the community here, we also have global reach as part of Rotary International, and it's good to support that because we have had success in recent years with fundraising, and we're doing well and looking for opportunities to make a difference. McGuanago's Got Talent, which the website just went down yesterday because it didn't make sense to keep it. McGuanago's Got Talent raised a good amount of funds for us over the past 4 or 5 years. So we need to use that to do good. So Shelterbox is going to be receiving $1,000 from our club, and that's why we do these fundraisers to support things like that. Anything else anybody like to bring up? This is our last. Well, I guess this is not our last meeting of the year. Next Thursday is Christmas Eve. We will not be meeting next Thursday, but for those who are able and would like to tune in, we're going to have just a connection on New Year's Eve in the morning, and have a business meeting on New Year's Eve, and then on January 7th we will restart with meetings with speakers. And on January 7th, speaking of East Troy Brewery, who has been supporting us in both the Fall Fest that we had, as well as our effort here with the drive-through beer garden. East Troy Brewery, where we have Ann Zess, who is the president of East Troy Brewery, is going to attend our meeting on January 7th and speak to us about perhaps the origins of their brewery, how operations are going, and what they have available down there in Troy. I know I have, after the Fall Fest, sampled their offerings from Main Street Liquor that's available and such. So it's nice to have a local brewery, and we're going to hear from Ann on January 7th, and then speakers. I think the McGuanago School District actually has the speaker on January 14th, and then after that. Other than that, my hope is that we will be able to start meeting again in person, perhaps, well, certainly not more on a hybrid basis, come part of January. We'll see. Although things seem to have been getting a little bit better here in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, yesterday nationwide, we had all-time number of cases, all-time number of hospitalizations, and all-time number of deaths. So as a country, we're not doing real well right now. Thankfully, I think things, Wisconsin, I see Sean just popped back on, and the numbers, obviously things are going as well as they can. I mean, I have a daughter that's quarantined right now just because she sat in the wrong spot last week, but I think the numbers are going all right. Sean, things are heading in the right direction or not getting worse?
Yeah, we are in good shape right now, Jim. Thanks for asking. We had a horrible November, but our December has been very good. Knock on wood. We have 3 more school days until break tomorrow, and then next week, Monday and Tuesday. But we've been really pleased with how things have gone this month. So we're very fortunate.
So any indication that concerns over Thanksgiving, that perhaps that wasn't a specific terrible event or anything? And does that give you hope coming out of Christmas and New Year's perhaps?
It sure does. So the spike that we thought would materialize never did. We had a huge spike after Halloween in November, but the Thanksgiving spike did not happen. So yes, we're hoping for the same thing come back on January 4th, that we'll have most of our students and staff in schools.
Right, great. I hope that trend continues. All right, if there's nothing else in terms of business items or things that people like to, anybody like to bring up, let's get on to our main event here today, and that's to honor one of our great educators in the district. I am going to turn it over to our vocational service representative, Dustin, to do an intro here and get things going to the next part of the meeting. Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, we would like to welcome Colleen Hoyne and Allison Boyd for joining us this morning. I'll let Colleen introduce Allison, but first and foremost, I'd like you guys all to know a little bit about Colleen. Colleen and I came in at the same time together, so that was a very good hiring year for Sean. I think he will agree. But a little bit about Colleen. This is her first year as principal at Eagleville Elementary, and she also serves as our district's 4-year-old kindergarten coordinator. This year, she's also serving as the K-6 virtual school coordinator. Prior to that, Colleen was the assistant principal at the high school for 3 years and worked for 7 years in Oconomowoc Area School District at Silver Lake Intermediate School. She received her master's in educational leadership from Carroll and her undergraduate degree in elementary education from Michigan State. So I would say Colleen is amazing at what she does, but she does have one really big fault, and that's she cheers for that green and white team across the lake. Her husband and her husband live in Waukesha, and they have 2 boys, Noah and Carter. So without further ado, Colleen Hoyne.
All right.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here this morning. I'm excited to finally get to join one of these meetings. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I am really excited and have the privilege of introducing Allison Boyd. Allison is our 1st and 2nd grade teacher here at Eagleville, so she splits between 1st and 2nd. This is her 2nd year in the McGuanago School District, but she did teach for 6 years in Whitewater before this, and I can truly say that we are very lucky to have her here. So she is a role model for all of our staff in terms of being a positive, solutions-based thinker. This fall, she, on her own, attended a positivity in education, professional development, which this year I think is a challenge given the circumstances, and then led a PD for our staff on that. And I think her optimism and that positivity translate to her kids. And she truly is an advocate for all students and has really been a leader in implementing early reading interventions within her classroom and collaborating with other staff in the building to make sure that she goes above and beyond for all of her kids, and in particular some of those most challenging kids, to make sure that we close those reading gaps really early. On top of that, Allison has definitely been a leader this year in utilizing technology, which I think we all have seen the need for this year. She has been a Seesaw expert in our building and really worked to make sure that she is utilizing technology to meet the needs of our kids here. But certainly I think she has experienced a large number of quarantine students and has tackled that with grace and professionalism and really met the needs of all those kids. So I'm really excited to let you guys get to hear from Allison and see the great things she's doing in our classroom.
All right. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me now. Is my sound working?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me here. It's truly a pleasure. So here is my presentation. So like Colleen said, I am teaching first and second grade. So I have a group of first and second graders, and my presentation is just a glimpse into how I have incorporated STEM into my writer's workshop. So like Colleen said, this is my 8th year teaching, 2nd year in the Mukwonago district, and I'm at Eagleville teaching first and second grade multi-age. So I'm the only first and second grade classroom in the district teaching with a writer's workshop model. And Writer's Workshop is a student-centered framework for teaching writing that's based on the idea that students learn to write best when they write frequently for extended periods of time. So it offers a mini lesson, which is only about 10 to 15 minutes, and then they can go and work on their own. And then during that time, I can meet with students one-on-one. So this is really important for multi-age because it allows me to provide targeted instruction to students depending on their ability levels. And it fosters ownership of writing, collaboration, independence, and guidance from experienced writers. So we do a lot of looking at mentor texts and peer examples of writing, so it lets kids kind of be in the spotlight more. So our most recent Writers Workshop unit has been centered around writing science lab reports, which has been super fun to incorporate some STEM into writing. So my students built catapults and they made a hypothesis. So they had 2 balls that they were testing, a pom-pom and like a spiky bouncy ball. So they had to hypothesize about which one they thought would go further on the catapult. So these are some pictures of them testing their catapults, measuring how far they went, and recording their results. And then these are some pictures of their initial lab reports. So they had to do 4 pages. So they had a hypothesis, and then they had to write procedures and what materials they used. And then the 3rd page was their results of how far each one went. And then the last page was their conclusion. So on our conclusions, we really talked about explaining and relating it back to force and motion and explaining why they think which ball went farther and all of that. So then when we got to our results, we held a symposium and we talked about how scientists get together and they discuss their experiments, and they talk about if their results were similar or different with other groups. And then we researched force and motion as a class, and we talked about what we would need to change about our catapults to make the balls go even farther. So we researched and talked about like the heavier versus the lighter ball and all of those different things. So this is one of my students reading his lab report.
Hypothesis. I think the spiky ball will go farther. Procedure. Materials. 1. Build a catapult. 2. Let the catapult go with spiky ball. 3. Measure. 4. Repeat 1 through 3 with pom-pom. Results. The first one we tested with pom-pom was 24 inches. The second one was 29 inches. The third one was 38 inches. Spiky ball. The first one we tested was 24 inches. The second one we tested was 33 inches. The third one we tested was 16 inches. My guess was wrong. The pom-pom went farther. Maybe this happened because the pom-pom is lighter and smaller.
So then after that, students were challenged to come up with a new catapult design that they thought would make their ball go farther. So based on everything they learned, they had to design a new catapult. And then this is a picture of their different new catapult designs. So some of them made it bigger or with more popsicle sticks or standing up. And so they used kind of different ideas. Then they had a chance to test their new catapults. And then they compared their results from their first lab report and determined if their new catapult actually worked better or not. So their new results were based on their old lab report, like which catapult actually worked better and then why do we think that? So then these are pictures of their second lab reports. So again, following the same kind of framework as before. So hypothesis and procedures and materials and results. And then they had to, then we held one final symposium to determine which catapults worked better and why. So we discussed force and motion again and how it played a role in our catapult designs. And then students used their knowledge of force and motion to write their final conclusions.
Hypothesis. I think the new catapult will launch the ball farther than the old one because we had more opposites. Procedure and materials. Step 1, build the catapult. Step 2, put the pom-pom on the catapult. Step 3, measure how far. Step 4, repeat 1 through 3 with spiky ball. Result. We launched the spiky ball and pom-pom 3 times each. The pom-pom went 24 inches, 40 inches, 19 inches. The spiky ball went 32 inches, 32 inches, and 24 inches. Conclusion. I was correct. Our old catapult only went 22 inches. Our new catapult went 32 inches. I think this happened because we added more popsicle sticks. This made it so we could pull it back farther.
So, and that's the end. So thank you so much for listening to me. And does anybody have any questions?
I'll say, I think in first grade, I was trying to stay inside the lines. I don't do it. And some of those writings there are kind of on par with the emails my wife gets from 8th graders in terms of grammar.
Allison, I have a question for you. So you teach first and second blended and you're doing like you're incorporating STEM. Do you have any of like STEM in your background, or why did you focus more with like the STEM on this project?
We have a little bit of a STEM focus at Eagleville. So there's that. I don't have necessarily any STEM background, but I do find that when kids are able to be more hands-on, that they do learn better and they're more interested in it. So, yeah.
So, going into this school year, there was a lot of talk about, high schoolers, yeah, they can mostly follow rules and wear their masks during this crazy time. I don't know. it's interesting to see these little kids wearing masks and things like that. How has that been going with first and second graders? I mean,
It's honestly great. These kids are totally troopers. I had nightmares about how it was going to go with first graders, and honestly, there's no issues. They're totally happy to wear their masks and no complaints, and they show up every day, and it's been great.
how about quarantined students? I mean, one thing, high school, my daughter's upstairs attending classes and things like that, but first and second graders, and best you can if they are quarantined, and keep them involved.
Yeah, I've had quite a few that have been in and out. So it seems like every time one kid comes back, another kid is out and quarantined. So I've spent most of the year recording my lessons and posting them on Seesaw, and kids have been keeping up with that pretty well. And yeah.
I will speak as a McGuanago parent who has a first grader quarantined right now from section. It's seamless. They're rocking it. And my daughter, she was reading right alongside with her best friend Savannah, who is at school right now, and it seemed like she was right there in the classroom. It was really cool. So I think at the elementary level, they're doing an amazing job as far as with these kids quarantining, the ones that are bouncing back and forth. It's really cool to watch.
It's incredible. You see kids walking around with Chromebooks, just talking to the kids like they're in there for book club or whatever, and their partners are there, and everyone's walking around with a Chromebook with a quarantine kid and a not quarantine kid. It's pretty cool to see. The teachers have done a pretty phenomenal job of figuring out ways to make sure those kids are still part of their classrooms.
In the best of the situation for sure. Any other questions for Allison? Okay. Well, thanks, Allison, so much for all the hard work you do every day, and for being our teacher of the month. Dustin, you have.
Thank you.
Yes, a few closing remarks. I kind of told Colleen and Allison yesterday that since I'm quarantined, I'm not able to get the certificate to you like I wanted to in time. But on behalf of the Rotary, we have a certificate for you recognizing your achievements, and also a small gift that we would like to present to you as well. And I will get that to you January 4th as soon as I can come back and we're back in session. So thank you so much, Allison. Really appreciate all you do for our school district.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thanks for joining us this morning. Okay. Anything else for the club? Our assistant district governor, any words of wisdom from the district governor level?
Well, I have no words of wisdom, but I do have a question.
Yep.
I am a linguistic nut. And as I look at all the names on the screen, I see that good Hebrew name of Rachael Gabriel. And she probably pronounces it Rachel. So I'm just simply wondering, Rachel, are you any relationship to that well-famed angel whose visits to Zechariah and Mary we remember in these weeks of the year?
No, it's maybe my husband, potentially. I don't know.
You married into the clan, in other words.
I was married into the clan.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, it's always hard because my spelling of my first name is a lot different, and then the last name everybody wants to do Gabriel or Eal.
Actually, it's the Hebrew spelling,
Yeah,
Romanized, of course, but nevertheless.
Yeah.
We do have a deadline coming up in mid-January, which is our Global Grant Scholarship. It's a great opportunity for any aspiring young college or older college graduate who would like to study overseas. And I think you all should have received at least 2 separate emails advertising this. And so we're coming down to crunch time. I think people are starting to think about, graduate students are starting to think about overseas study again. And hopefully these vaccines will conquer this pandemic. But if you know of any graduating seniors, undergraduate who are interested in study overseas, whose program of studies aligns with one of the areas of focus of Rotary International, please encourage them to apply. So that's it from me.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Good to have you join us this morning. Like I said, no meeting next week on Christmas Eve. I hope everybody has a great Merry Christmas and a great holiday. Those of us want to connect in on New Year's Eve. We'll have a short business meeting and touch base then. That will be virtual, and more to come on terms of getting into January. Certainly Zoom will be available regardless, but whether we have a hybrid meeting to be determined into January at some point. So if there's nothing else, let's end the meeting as we end all meetings here with the four-way test. So I will kind of lead the way here. And as we leave this meeting and go back out into the world of life and work, of the things that we think, say, and do, let us remember to ask ourselves first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great holiday. Thanks for all you do, and we'll be in touch soon.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Holidays.
Merry Christmas.